I trust that you're having a good day and that you are enjoying your life. We've been talking about emotional intelligence and relationships, how to avoid some of the pitfalls of relationships by increasing our ability to be emotionally intelligent. Last time I talked about criticism, where we criticize people rather than critiquing the behavior or complaining about their behavior. Today I want to talk about stonewalling or avoidance. Stonewalling is a way that people use instead of dealing with the issues. Conflict is a normal experience within a relationship. It is unresolved conflicts that cause breakups and cause a lot of toxicity and pain in relationships. So stonewalling is a way of managing, or is a defense mechanism within a relationship. So I don't want to deal with the issue, and so I avoid it by not talking about it, by ignoring it, by dismissing it. I just withdraw. I don't, whenever my spouse comes to me and they want to talk about an issue, I don't pay attention to it, or I will, listen, but no feedback. I will not participate in trying to find a solution to the problem. And so what happens now, my spouse, who is frustrated by my inability to engage in order to resolve a conflict, begins to complain about my non-involvement or my dismissal of the situation. And now we begin to fight about his stonewalling or my stonewalling, and we are not able to deal with the problem, which could be maybe a financial problem, or even it could be something else. And so we get locked into this argument about my behavior or my inability to engage him in a discussion that would resolve the issue. So the issue is not being dealt with. We are now complaining or arguing or we are fighting about my behavior or about the stonewalling. So the issue remains unresolved. What happens then? Then, 2 or 3 days later, the issue again comes up. And so we want to say that if you are emotionally intelligent, you are not going to use stonewalling as a way to avoid dealing with issues. Because number one, you do understand that it is important in a relationship to deal with issues and to resolve conflict in order to have healthy relationships. You will be able to identify that when you don't resolve relationship problems, then you yourself are not going to be happy, and you are in touch with that unhappiness. You are in touch with those unsatisfied, disillusioned feelings that you have. But also you understand with unresolved conflicts, you are not going to experience love within this relationship. Your relationship will stagnate. Your relationship will become toxic because the stonewalling does not allow you to deal with the issues within your marriage. There are too many marriages and too many relationships that are using silent treatment to manage the environment within their relationship. Silent treatment is a way of stonewalling. And so we want to be able to develop emotionally how to manage these feelings. So number one, the reason why we will stonewall is because we feel very high anxiety about the situation that has been brought to our attention. So if your spouse comes to you and says, "Han, we need to talk," immediately your anxiety levels begin to rise. And because you do not want to engage, then you go into silence. And that silence then causes your spouse to now come after you even more. And the more you withdraw, the more you withhold, the more she comes or he comes after you. So it creates a very uncomfortable situation that Once they stop talking, then you feel relief. The anxiety is gone, because what was causing you the anxiety is them saying, we need to resolve this issue. So you, the stonewaller, needs to experience those emotions and name them. I feel afraid. I feel afraid that if we talk about this issue, you are going to yell, you are going to shout, you are going to call me names, and I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to experience you that way. If couples can be able to hear that, and then the other person can be able to validate and say, enyewe, what you have just said happens, and I am sorry that I make you feel that way, but I am really interested in us being able to resolve this issue of money, so that we can be able to move forward. But I am also tired of us trying to avoid it, because I'm asking you, then the way that I am coming at you, you feel threatened and you stonewall, and then me, I'm feeling frustrated, and then we get into these angry fights. So if both couples, both people in this relationship can increase their emotional intelligence, that is self-awareness, other awareness, self-regulation, and then they can communicate from an empathy point of view, where I am empathizing with where you are coming from. And when we empathize with people, what we do is we offer understanding, we offer validation, so that now the pursuer in this case will be able to say, I do understand where you are coming from. Probably the words that I have used before, probably the intensity of my emotions usually overwhelm you, and then you just shut down. So understanding how your spouse experiences you is going to help you validate their feelings, but also give them an opportunity to also validate yours. And then the two of you get to a place where you meet and you can be able to resolve the conflict that has caused the fight. I hope this makes sense. So instead of stonewalling, there is something you can do. You can reach out to your spouse and say, look, I really would like for us to resolve this conflict. However, the way you come at me, the way I experience you, I feel so overwhelmed and I'm not able to engage you. So I would like for you to reduce the intensity of your emotion when you are asking me about such and such situation, so that I can also be able to gather my thoughts. What I hear mostly from individuals who are stonewallers is that they feel so overwhelmed by the tone of voice, the body language, and the words that are used when their spouse is trying to resolve a conflict. So ideally, what we would like to see happen is that the two people who are unable to resolve a conflict would sit down and share with each other how they are experiencing one another, so they can remove the barriers to resolving the real issue. Once that happens, then come up with a plan on how you're going to talk through the real issue. And if you begin to feel overwhelmed, the stonewaller needs to ask for a timeout. But then they also need to promise that they will return to continue with the resolution of the problem. And the other party then needs to be able to validate the need for a break, but also to do that in a respectful way. So each one of you is being very mindful of how the other person is feeling and what their desires are. If we can be able to do that, we will have better resolutions or the resolution of conflict, and we will have less arguments over the same issue. Usually the reason why we repeat things is because we feel that the other person has not understood us and they have not heard us. So continue to live by design, and I hope this has brought a bit of value into your relationship. And continue to share this information with your friends, and subscribe to our channel, and let us know if there are any topics you would like us to address or any questions that you have about this segment. Until I see you next time, may the Lord bless you.